Daniela Grande.
Daniela Grande, working for Lombardy region. Hello, Daniela. We're going to talk about a topic that was on the news last summer. Everyone started talking about the blue crab. Then we have understood that the blue crab can be eaten. Scientists say blue crab can be eaten. But according to the biodiversity where these species are present, actually shrinks. So we can see, for example, the American crab. I come from Varese, the Varese Lake, for example. There is a huge quantity so that people make barbecues. And we see just one element, but actually behind there is a whole world where alien species are in a sort of champenoise food chain where they do not have direct predators, and so they have no problems. We think that it's always late when the problem is on the news. We say, well, it's a problem. That animal was freed in the habitat 30 years ago, 40 years ago. So what could we do for alien species? What could we do in order not to be in that situation where this thing is on the news with some laws, etc.? Well, first of all, prevention and a very quick response before a species could widespread in the habitat, and in order to prevent the species from harming the environment. Moreover, intervene in those places where the species is settled. Thanks to the Life Gestire 2020 project, we have developed an intervention line against alien species. Regional strategy has been developed to reduce the quantity of these alien species. And thanks to this intervention plan, we have identified target species and also the criteria to identify the main intervenes. Some protocols to reduce the quantity of alien species have been created. Our control plan has been set up on the turtles and tortoise, and also some species of shrimp. Some examples here. This is the Rodea. That intervention was done by the Ada Nord Park. They created a double control activity. Well, here we can find diving. They actually dived and planted some autochthon species. So this piece came from the Aquarius world. So those who have an Aquarius and are tired of having it, they simply decide to free animal and vegetable species in the nature by causing a huge problem. For example, small Florida tortoise are represent actually a problem because they've got, of course, red or orange cheeks, but at the end, of course, they will become very, very big. And when they reach that size, they are freed in the nature. So if the alien species decides to settle in, it means that probably has found a good place where to live, and maybe they are even stronger than compared to autochthonous species. So in that, these plant was eradicated physically, and then the autochthon species was planted again, was replanted. In this case, there has been a manual removal and also a mechanical intervention. Thanks to a bucket, the biomass was removed and then that plant was replanted. This is Saudurus cernus. It's a plant that is a tail called. Well, this plant is in the ZSC in the Comabio Lake. So the wet zone or the swamp was eliminated, and then they decided to replant it. Here we have another example, Agarosiphon major. That's another species, because of the Aquarius, as I was saying before. Even in that case, we managed to intervene in a very effective way. There was a manual removal, and also the roots were completely eradicated. So this is the biomass that was extracted. As for animal species, this is a raft realized by hand in order to catch Trachemis. That then was put in the detention center of Brescia in the small lake that you can see in the picture, in order to catch and study animals. This is a sign with with a compound delimiting the lake, the small lake. We can see eradication intervention, the Louisiana crayfish. So the water was taken out, then a compound was built. This is an example of a female crayfish with its eggs. Also because, as you can see, they lay many different eggs. Of course, these places are pretty small, so our problem can raise in a very easy way, but at the same time, we can also find a solution for that problem because the dimension is not so big. Of course, we take actions, but at the same time, we also need to talk to those people that sell animals and plants to people. So they should explain the barriers that these animals and plants cannot be released into nature. Yes, it's true. I do think that we need to do something together. We need to monitor the territory. So thanks to the strategy, we created our territorial network in order to identify some species, old or new, especially in some territories and areas that had not been colonized up to that moment. Moreover, as for prevention, we need to work together with professionals. And on the other hand, we also need to work with citizens in order to raise awareness on that theme. I simply wanted to let you understand that these species that are just some of these species, some of them, cannot be sold, whereas others are still being sold. So it's very important to raise awareness in citizens. For example, the gray squirrel that you can see in this picture, or the tortoise that you can see in the other picture, at the beginning maybe were bought as company animals, but then they were freed in the nature. As for the gray squirrel, without thinking about the consequences, and as for the tortoise, well, maybe we buy a very small animal, but then we do not, we have no information about the dimension it can reach, how many it can live. So of course we need to be aware when we buy animals. The same is true for plants. In some of these examples, we can find the Rinutria or Panacea di Mantegazzi. So these plants are used to embellish our gardens, but in some way they uh, flew away, and we perfectly know the problems. There are even some songs explaining that problem. It has always been a huge problem, but at those times people didn't know it. Genesis actually wrote a song about it. In the UK, there was a vegetable species that widespread so much, and its sap, if exposed to sunlight, might burn people. I buy a kind of plant, then I don't know, I'm tired of taking care of it. I will throw it away in the nature. Well, it might cause quite a lot of problems. There are hundreds of very difficult species to deal with. In Europe, there are 88 species, and in Lombardy, we have 30 of them. And these species require a higher level of attention. The water hyacinth was reported in Lombardy in 2017. I can't remember the year, but that species was maybe reported just once, and then no other reports were present. But of course, we do not have to forget that these species can be found in the Amazon River. It was used for embellishing our gardens, but then it created these carpets that put their roots in the soil, and that might cause some problems to depression systems, soils, buildings. For the moment, here in Lombardy, we do not have this problem for the moment. Maybe it's too cold. Well, I don't know. With the climate change, actually in Sardinia, I've seen so many plants of these species. So the problem is that you also see these plants, so you go on holiday and then you go back with terrible news. So it is a very important event get some information about it is the Mostra Alieni, the alien exhibition. It is in the Voghera Museum, and it is funded by Life Gestire 2020. This exposition will be in that museum until the 20th of October, and then this exposition will move and go to Isola 7 in Road Galbani 27, and will be there until the 14th of November. Some conferences and guided visits will be available. You can enroll by writing a mail, for example. There will be some plays, games, expositions with, for families and schools. Yes, we need to be aware that this is not an emergency. It is always like that. We need to always know that biodiversity can be protected, taking into account all these elements. Thank you very much, Daniela. Are you? So just to conclude my speech, well,
nel progetto Life Gestire abbiamo predisposto questo codice di...
It is very important to meet professionals and experts, and some specific programs are still in program, especially to those that have aquariums or that sell animals or fish keeping. If we adopt good practices, to correctly deal with these species, we can, of course, have a very good impact. So we do not harm their activity, economic activities. Otherwise, it would be too difficult to run after the market. The market should work with the state, and we need to explain to those people that plants, etc., cannot be thrown away in the habitats. Another thing that I would like to add, that these are some screenshots of interviews that we have created. Here we have Dottoressa Santicchia that works in our task force about alien species. We have Francesco Bisi, Patrizia Di Giovinazzo. She talks about alien species and interventions made by Life Gestire. All these videos will be published on the WWF website, One Planet School, and the Gestire project website. Probably today, even today. Unfortunately, I do not have a video to show you because these videos are not official. Yes, so for example, raccoons are an alien species. Raccoons is an alien species. Why? Because of course raccoons are very cool to watch them. Are very cute. Everyone wants to eradicate rats and mouses, but not raccoons, because of course are very cute. Okay. The last thing I would like to highlight is the video made by the Cornell Filippi. He will talk about the Iorio premises created by the Gestire project. This place has a double function, so it will control some alien species importation coming from third countries, and it will also have an informative function for tourists and travelers. So thank you very much. It will be perfect also because the next intervention will be about it. Thank you very much, Daniela. Albert.